Hi students, I wanted to show you how to do these two labs, the modeling photosynthesis and then the separate lab, modeling cell respiration. These are together normally in one packet, but you'll just be completing them one at a time and then you'll get a lab credit for doing each portion of that. So the modeling photosynthesis lab goes from page 1 and to page 4 in the packet, and it also will use this page called the Photosynthesis and Cell Respiration sheet. You'll just be building your beads on that. And then if you need further reference, you can look at this teacher page. It doesn't give you any answers really, but if your parents want to look it over, that is up to you if you feel like you need to reference that. So the way you're going to start is that this kit, you need to know that the black beads represent carbon, and you have 6 of them, and 12 white beads represent the hydrogen, and the 18 red beads are oxygen. You need to keep that straight. You might want to color each of these, red, color the oxygen red, and color, maybe draw a black box around the carbon so you remember that. But basically, you're going to build some of these cool models. Make a model of one oxygen molecule, O2. So oxygen is red. So I'm going to take out 2 of the red beads. And I'm going to model it here by putting them together. And that is going to be my model of my oxygen. And so it says, how many oxygen atoms do you need to make one oxygen molecule? Well, it's O2. So that subscript means that there's 2 oxygens together, so you need 2. Another important way to be able to read this is like the H2O here. The 2 applies to the H, but it doesn't apply to the O. So H2O has how many H's and how many O's? How many H's does it have? The correct answer is 2 because it's H2. And then how many oxygens does H2O have, or how many O's does it have? Since there's no subscript there, you can just assume the answer is 1. So you're gonna go and make a model of water. I don't care if you draw 2 red dots here connected, or if you want to submit your lab and have pictures, that's fine too. Once you go and answer this first page and submit it, then you'll be on to the second page of modeling carbon dioxide. And then you're going to make a model, this is a lot more complicated, of glucose, that's sugar. And glucose is so big, it's C6H12O6. So in C6H12O6, how many carbons are there? The answer is 6. And H12, how many hydrogens are there? The answer is 12. And then oxygens, how many oxygens? And the answer is 6. So you'll be going through here and you'll put your glucose model here. Again, you can draw it or just take a picture with the beads. Here for modeling photosynthesis, you're gonna make sure to read this top portion about photosynthesis. It will give you good background information on how everything works. And then you're gonna go through and you're going to answer these questions. If there's any that you're not sure about, you can use anything, the internet, talk to somebody, like find out a way to get the answers to the questions. Then you're also going to answer these questions about the reactants and the products in a reaction. Just remember the reactants are usually what you put together at first to start the reaction, and then the products are the end part that it combines to. So for example, on this page, these are the reactants, and here were the products. But then, so I wanted to show you this too on this equation. Do you guys see how earlier we had like this glucose molecule, we had C6H12O6, and probably most of you were able to figure out that meant there was 6 carbons, 12 hydrogens, and 6 oxygens when I asked you that a minute ago. Now we're going to zoom forward and have a little more chemistry here, and we're going to have this number out in front. The number out in front is sort of like makes this. As if it has parentheses. I had to grab a pencil there. So imagine this whole thing had parentheses here. Do you know in algebra how you multiply this number times everything inside? So 6 times C makes 6 carbons. But remember that there are also 2 oxygens. So 2 oxygens already times 6, 6 times 2 is 12. So there's actually 12 oxygens in this. And that's not how it's written. It's broken down this way. But just remember that this outside number multiplies everything after it. So in this water, I want you to draw your parentheses here so you know how many of each type of molecule is there. And then multiply 6 times H2, and remember they're already in pairs, H2. So 6 times 2 is how many hydrogens are there? 6 times 2, there are 12 hydrogens. And now plus 6 times oxygen. Now oxygen doesn't have a subscript, so we assume a 1. So 6 times 1 is there's 6 oxygens, okay? I'm just gonna write OX so that's more clear that that's oxygen. Okay, so that's how this works out when you multiply it. So on this side you would have beads with 6 carbons, 12 oxygens, 12 hydrogens, and 6 more oxygens. Okay, and then you'll draw, and then you'll build the other side of what it turns out like over here. And once again, you can just model this with all of your beads. I think the math is really helpful to just prove what you were trying to show. So you have a model and you have the equation there. Okay. The next thing that you'll do is you will answer these, fill out this table on how many carbons you need for photosynthesis in the reactants and in the products. So your starting equation and your ending equation, so right here. Okay, so you're gonna do the math and you're gonna figure out how many are on each side. So back to this, if I was gonna figure this out, how many carbons do I have total out of my starting? Out of my starting, I have a total of 6 carbons. So on this form, I'm gonna write that I need 6 carbons. Okay, then you're gonna figure out how many hydrogens, which you can figure out, and the oxygens, you'll actually add the 2 sets of oxygens. So you'll do 12 plus 6, and the number of oxygens was actually 12 plus 6, that's 18 oxygens, okay? So I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna write 18. And then when you break it apart and show the products, these two should match. Okay. The next part is you're going to take out this piece. The plate is in there just to keep your beads from going all over the place. I don't think it's totally necessary, but it was part of the kit, so I left it. But you're gonna use this to show where energy comes into and out of this equation to make this happen. And then you'll answer some questions about that, about, you know, which product of photosynthesis remains in the green plant to be used as energy, which product of photosynthesis is released as a gas in the atmosphere, and it happens to be the gas that we breathe in. So that's that full lab from Science Takeout where you model photosynthesis. I think this should be a pretty fun thing that you guys can do after learning photosynthesis for a few days in other ways. I hope that this is pretty straightforward for you. Good luck with that, and let me know if you have questions.